Hi, and welcome here on pierosini.com, the wine show. And well, today I hope that you are really ready, prepared, because I'm here at Tenuta di Tignanello, which is the home of the super Tuscans Tignanello and Solaya. And I'm really excited to have really special guests here on my show, a living legend of the wine world, the kind of the lion of Italian fine wine, Piero Antinori. Nice to have you on my show.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm feeling really excited because, you know, this is a really special moment for me. Also, the La Tenuta Tignanello, it's a wine full of history. We have to focus today on Tignanello. Of course, you are responsible for more wines, but we have today the focus on Tignanello. Just for the people who don't know so much about Tignanello or Antinori, maybe you can say something about the history of your family Antinori, because it's not that you are producing wine since yesterday, right?
No, it's a long history and a long tradition, because my ancestors started to produce wine actually in this region where we are now approximately 630 years ago. The first member of the family who started, and we have an official document which proves that, started to produce wine was a man called Giovanni Antinori, son of Piero Antinori, the same name as I have. And that was in 1385. That was the date of the first official documents, which proves that we are in the wine business in the family since then.
Okay.
So it's a long tradition, but since then I must say that generation after generation, century after century, there have always been at least one member of the family who has been fully involved in this wonderful business.
I'm curious about your personal. At which age do you start to work in the wine world, in the wine business? Did you study wine, viticulture, or did you just?
No, I was involved in viticulture and winemaking since I was very young. Yeah. I mean, you know, every harvest I used to go and help in the country. Or in the winery to produce wine, and this is something that my daughter has done also, and now my grandchildren. I have my oldest grandson, who is called Vittorio. He's 18 years of age, and he's now harvesting in one of our estates, and he's working in the vineyard and also in the winery for
learning the basics.
So I think it's very important, and I have done more or less the same thing.
Today we're going to taste Tignanello. It was the first release was, I guess, was 71, right?
71 was the first vintage of Tignanello that I have produced.
Maybe you have talked a lot about the development of Tignanello, but I'm really curious. Can you describe a little bit the circumstances when you launched the first Tignanello? I mean, regarding the critics, the feedback, or they say, oh, Piero Antinori, you're crazy, what you're doing, because you declassified your wine as Vino da Tavola from the beginning, right?
Yes, because at the end of the 1960s, the region of Chianti Classico, where we are now and where the vineyard of Tignanello is located, was going through a very difficult moment. Yeah. For a number of reasons that it would be a bit too long to describe. Okay. But anyway, the quality of the wines were going down. Okay. The reputation of the wine from Chianti was also going down. Prices were going down, and so the grape growers and wine producers were really having a very difficult time at that time. Yeah. And so when I took over the responsibility of the company, which was in 1966, and my father gave me the responsibility of the company, I had really to face a very tough situation. I didn't know really what to do, and so I started to go around and to travel and to try to analyze and to understand better the region, the wine regions in the world, which instead were in that moment successful. Just to try to understand what they were doing and you know, the reason why they were successful. And actually I was very lucky to meet also some incredible persons that helped me a lot to solve our problems and to try to recover from that type of situation. One of these person was the Professor Emile Peynaud, a great person, wine man.
Of course,
who was at the same time a great scientist. He was a professor at the university, but he was also practical winemaker, I mean, in the wineries, and he was, above all, he was really a great wine lover, you know. He used to love wine with his heart. And we went to see him with our winemaker at that time, Giacomo Takis, and he sort of fell in love with our region, with our wines. He understood our problems and he decided to help us. And actually he came here on a regular basis. He became our consultant for many years. And he was, in a way, the man who inspired us to produce wines not in the traditional way.
So it's a revolution.
It was a big change compared to the previous.
So you had introduced many new things. I mean, like the art style of vinification.
Well, we introduced many different things. First of all, we picked what we thought it was our best vineyard, which was the vineyard of Tignanello. Incidentally, Tignanello is the name, historical name of a vineyard which dates back centuries and centuries. And it is located in what we think is an ideal situation here because of the altitude. It's approximately 450 meters above the sea level, with a very good microclimate. And then the exposure, obviously it's exposed to southwest. It's also very steep, and so the drainage is very good, and the type of soil is a rocky soil, very difficult to cultivate, not very fertile, but soil which gives very intense products in terms of aromatic compounds. And so we picked the vineyard of Tignanello to do these experiments. We started, first of all, to change a bit the grape varietals, or the percentage of grape varietals. In that period, in Chianti, in this region, people were using up to 30% of white grapes in the blend, together with Sangiovese, mostly Trebbiano grape. And
what was the reason?
The reason was that originally Sangiovese used to give very sort of
acidity.
Well, acidity and tannic and astringent wine, and by adding a little percentage of white grapes, that could give a more softness, let's say, to the wine. But the reason why Trebbiano became so predominant in terms of percentage was also the fact that Trebbiano was a very productive grape variety, very productive and also very resistant to disease. And so that was the reason why many producers started to have a production of Trebbiano which was too much, I mean, for the production of Chianti. And the first thing that we did was actually to reduce that percentage of grapes.
I think it was a good idea. So we are going to taste now four wines. Actually, we will start with 2008, which is for you a huge vintage for Tignanello.
It's the last vintage, the vintage that we have on the market right now. It has been released a few months ago. So it's a wine which is very promising in my opinion. '08 was a good vintage. We were lucky in the last 10 years to have a series of very good vintages, and '08 it's one of the good vintages, both for Tignanello and for Cabernet, because Tignanello is 80% Sangiovese grapes, and we have also a percentage which can vary, but it's approximately always 20% of Cabernet Sauvignon and Cabernet Franc. And so sometimes we have a better vintage for Sangiovese, and so we reduce the percentage of Cabernet. Some other times it's a bit the opposite.
Depends on the vintage, of course.
So it's not a mathematical formula.
Dipende dal gusto, va bene?
Anche.
Okay,
Bravo.
then we will start with the first wine. So it's like, put it here in the camera, it's like, yeah, here, 2008. Tignanello. So yeah, I pour in for you. Okay.
Yes.
So it's
well, obviously the color is the typical color of a rather young red wine.
Of course.
It's intense color without being black. I don't like the wines which are black, not transparent.
Yeah.
Here you can see a little bit of transparency of the wine.
You can the fingers through. I hold it here in the camera. It's like typical also of Sangiovese, but okay, there's a little darkness, but it's really, you have the transparency. So
and this is color which is going to stay like that for a long time.
Okay.
It's not going to turn yellow or brown, because this color has a sort of freshness and brightness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I'm pretty sure that in 20 years it will be just slightly changed, not as
yeah, Sangiovese, the
violet.
acidity, sorry to interrupt you, the Sangiovese, the acidity keeps the color, right?
Well, some acidity is a guarantee also of longevity.
Yeah.
We don't want to have wines which are too high in acidity. It has to be balanced, the acidity, with, but certainly, you're right, Sangiovese is a typical grape varietal which produces wines with a certain acidity, which makes the Sangiovese wines typical food wines.
Yeah.
They match very well with food. Maybe
like
in a tasting, a Merlot or a Cabernet could be even show better results, but when it goes to enjoy the wine together with food, personally, I think that Sangiovese is really...
It's my, I totally agree. So let's check out the nose. So...
yes, this is a wine that even at the nose is a bit unmistakably Tuscan.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what we like to do with Tignanello. Produce a wine which is, as basic character, is Tuscan wine.
Yeah, you feel it, something rustical, you have these kirsch aromas. It's not the over-extraction. Some really spicy notes.
It's not a heavy wine. We don't like to produce what we call monumental wine. We try to produce more wine with elegance rather than a big power. And Tignanello is a wine which we try to produce it, focusing more on the elegance, on the intensity of flavor rather than on the dimension.
Okay, my impression of the wine is exactly this, what you are saying. It's like you have elegance, the wine is good structured, it's really, a lot of fruit. It's, like I said, intensive. It's not so dense, but it's well balanced with the acidity. It's well balanced. The tannins, they are quite not restrained. but they are very high quality tannins, and there is a good, how you say, a good pressure, a good. You feel the
yes, we
medium
feel
body,
there is what we call a grip,
grip,
which is something that we are used to it and we like
it.
It
Lingers very long.
It's not a flat or tired wine. It has a
freshness. Yeah, absolutely freshness.
I think that what we try to do with Tignanello is to produce wine which has a freshness and a purity. I mean, there's no odd taste. So this is very pure wine, due to the grapes that we use for Tignanello are always perfectly sound.
And hand-picked, of course?
Yes, not only, but also selected.
Okay.
If one year there are some problems with the grapes, we eliminate all the grapes. We have a double type of selection.
Okay.
Before the stemming, so we select the clusters, and then after the stemming, we select the single berries on a sorting table. And this is very important to have a purity of wine.
Well, this wine, I think, it will have a great life. It's, I think, drinkable for me. Now, I like when they're also young. Yeah, they're really accessible wines, approachable. But I think that will mature really good in the cellars, so keep it for maybe, until, in my opinion, this wine 25 or maybe longer. Yeah, and well, compliment.
No, I think that the Tignanello is exactly what you were saying. A wine which is enjoyable when it's young, but a wine which can improve and evolve with even a very long aging. We are going to taste also a wine which is 30 years of age, and I think that you will still find it fresh in a way.
Okay, so then we go ahead. Next wine will be the 2007.
And 7, so 1 year older.
Yeah.
I think that you will find this extra aging, because the 08 that we tasted, it's a wine, in my opinion, with a great potential for aging, but certainly it's still a bit tight. I think the 07 starts to open up a little bit. Obviously, you know, Tignanello needs 5-6 years at least to really start to open up.
Of course.
But 07 was also a good vintage in this region, especially for Sangiovese grapes. So
I tasted the 2006, because, okay, we're tasting now 2007, but I had, some weeks ago, I had 2006 and 2007. It was like directly I think the main difference is like 2007 was more structured, more stronger.
Yes.
Yeah, but we are going to taste now. Well, the color, it's quite nearly the same. It's maybe a little bit darker.
Yes, it's a bit darker, because that was the characteristic of the 07.
Okay.
Which gave wine with a lot of color. So this is the darkest color for Tignanello, this type of color, which obviously, you know, every vintage is different.
Yeah,
so
every sun is different, every wine is, huh? Okay. Yeah, it's
already a bit
the blossoms really,
open.
yeah. There's a mixture of dark fruit, red fruit, also some cassis, a little bit only, more the Kirschen up front. There's some, it's really like the spice, some chocolate notes as well, some minty notes. Well.
Yes, absolutely. This is and I think that the combination between Sangiovese and a little bit of Cabernet, like the Tignanello has, I think gives the complexity of the wine. It's not an oaky wine. Some of the wines, I don't like that. They are too oaky. They
oak is well. It's good.
Obviously, this wine ages in new oak for 16, 17 months before it's bottled. but we try never to keep the wines in the barrels too long, otherwise it becomes too oaky, and I don't like that.
Yeah, so you use new barrels only for the Cabernet and Cabernet Franc, right? The Sangiovese is
also for Sangiovese, okay. Not 100%,
okay.
But a certain percentage is new oak, and the rest is oak that have been used already, barrels that have been used for one aging period. But one of the reasons why the wine is not oaky is because we transfer the wine into the barrel before the malolactic fermentation, and the malolactic fermentation, the second fermentation, takes place in the barrel.
Okay.
And this is a way when we transfer the wine later, when the wine is clean already, it takes a bit too much oak, in my opinion.
Okay.
So all the malolactic fermentation is in the barrel, takes place.
Once again, the wine is really structured. It's firm, it's dense to the core, which I mean, but with the impact of fruit, it's given a really, the body is like a good body, strong body, but not over extraction, like you said. Acidity, tannins, there's once again more pressure in it than the 2008. Yeah, absolutely. The finish, what can I say? It's really long. It's like it's an amazing wine. The 2007 vintage is, yeah.
And what I think is that you can feel the tannins in the mouth, but they are not astringent. They are sweet tannins, but you can feel them.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
Obviously for good red wine is very important.
Yeah. Well, then we're heading to the older wines.
Absolutely,
So,
which you know, I think that Tignanello is a wine that wine lovers should also age in their cellars. Not only just buy the bottle and open it, but also keep a few bottles.
Well, I have some 2007 12 bottles with my cellar for my son. He was born in 2007, and I chose Tignanello because I tasted it and I was really convinced. And okay, so we go ahead.
Good, very well.